Welcome to Too Fond of Books. My name is Janelle, and in this March Mystery Madness video, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite tropes, and that is the closed circle mystery. But first, I need to give you the answer to yesterday's My March Mystery Madness Mindbender. The clue was, a prolific writer from the Golden Age broke from her typical pattern and wrote one historical mystery. What was it called? The answer is Death Comes as the End by Agatha Christie. She wrote this in 1944, I think. Let me double check. Yeah, 1944, and it is set in ancient Egypt. So that's cool. And I love this edition. This is a pocketbook edition from 1959. So Agatha Christie's Death Comes as the End. Stay tuned to the end of the video for the next My March Mystery Madness Mindbender. What is a closed circle mystery? Basically, it just means that there is a limited number of suspects due to circumstances. So this can mean because it is in a country house, it's in a hotel, it's on a ship, it's on a plane, it's on a train. There are any number of circumstances that can mean that there are a limited number of suspects. And I love this trope in the mystery genre. Another aspect to it is that sometimes they can be isolated closed circle, and that is my favorite. If they can be true isolated closed circle mysteries, and that means that contact with the outside world has been severed and there won't be any new characters introduced into the story. So whoever is there, that's it for the whole story. So a detective can't come in, the police can't come in and investigate. So isolated closed circle mysteries tend to take place on islands or on ships or snowbound, cut off hotels or country houses. So I'm just going to show you a few of examples of closed circle mysteries. Some of these might be interesting to you. So let's get started. This is Georgette Hayer's Envious Casca. She wrote this. Sorry, my face is itchy. She wrote this in 1941. It is a country house mystery, and there are 9 people in the house. This is also called a Christmas party. Marsh wrote The Nursing Home Murder in 1935. And what's interesting here is that it takes place in a private nursing home, but in the operating room. So there is a man, the home secretary is having surgery in the operating room, and the 3 people there all have reasons to kill him, and then he dies shortly after the surgery. So that's totally a closed circle mystery. We also have Dorothy L. Sayers' 5 Red Herrings. She wrote this in 1931, and it takes place in an artist's colony in the Scottish Highlands, and there are only 6 possible suspects, which kind of gives you the clue there in the title, 5 Red Herrings. If there are 6 possible suspects, 5 of those suspects are red herrings. Jefferson Farjeon wrote Mystery in White in 1937, and what's interesting here is initially you might think that this is a snowbound train mystery and that he was stealing the idea from Agatha Christie. But the passengers from the snowbound train disembark and find an abandoned house, and the mystery goes on from there. So he does change it up a little bit here in Mystery in White. Mavis Doriel Hay wrote The Santa Claus Murder in 1936, and this is a country house murder. The country house is called Flaxmere, and again there are a limited number of suspects, the guests in the house. Someone dies, and Santa Claus is found holding a gun over the suspect, or the dead body. This one was good. I really enjoyed the Santa Claus Murder. J. Jefferson Farjeon also wrote 13 Guests. This is from 1936. This is a country house mystery. It's called Bragley Court. So again, a limited number of suspects who did it. But not all closed circle mysteries were from the golden age of detective fiction. They are actually quite popular nowadays as well. And so here are a few examples of modern day closed circle mysteries. And this one is actually called Closed Circle by Robert Goddard. He wrote this in 1993, although I find it interesting because it is actually set in 1931. And it's on a transatlantic liner called the Empress of Britain. So it is definitely a closed circle. I would even potentially call it isolated. The only difference here is that it's a transatlantic liner, so there are going to be quite a number of people on board the ship. But still, closed circle mystery. Louise Penny, her 8th Armand Gamache mystery is called The Beautiful Mystery. And this is one of hers that does not take place in Three Pines. It is set in the monastery of Saint-Gilbert-entre-la-Loup, outside of Quebec, and translated that means the monastery Saint Gilbert between the wolves. And this is a monastery where no outsiders are admitted. So this is definitely a closed circle, and I would say probably I would have to say that it's an isolated closed circle, except for the fact that Gamache and his team come into the monastery to do the investigations. But this was a really good one. I quite enjoyed The Beautiful Mystery. P.D. James, she quite often writes closed circle mysteries. They're not necessarily isolated, but they are often closed circles. This one is The Lighthouse. And this one actually seems maybe a bit more isolated closed circle in that it is set on Coombe Island, which it has a helicopter pad, but it only has one landing place by sea, and there is no signal for cell phones on this island. Now, Dalgleish and his team go on to the island to investigate, but it is definitely a closed circle because there is a small, limited number of people on this island. And then finally, Aunt Dimity Snowbound by Nancy Atherton. This one, a small number of people are snowbound in Lady Thorne Abbey. So this is definitely a closed circle mystery. So yeah, you can see that there are a number of modern day mysteries as well that are closed circle. Another one that I couldn't get my hands on for this video is called 1222 by, oh, I've totally forgotten her name. I'm going to try and put a picture of it up here in the video. And because it is set, there is a breakdown on a, I want to say a train, but that's not exactly right. It's set in, I think it's set in Sweden. I think so, or one of those Scandinavian countries. And one of those vehicles that take people up a mountain, what is that called? Like a funicular or something? Anyway, it breaks down and the people have to go into a hotel. And so it is, and then they are snowbound into that hotel. So it is isolated. And it is definitely a closed circle, so that one might interest you as well. But I cannot get through a video about closed circle mysteries without mentioning my wonderful, awesome, and favorite writer, Agatha Christie. Murder on the Orient Express is from 1934, and this takes place on a snowbound train. This is definitely an isolated closed circle mystery. Hercule Poirot is one of the passengers on the train, but nobody comes in from outside to help with the investigations. It's just the people that are on this one compartment on the train. In 1935, she wrote Death in the Clouds, where the murder takes place on an airplane in mid-flight. So definitely closed circle. 13 people in the rear cabin of this airplane. And again, this was fantastic. She also wrote Cards on the Table in 1937. And in this mystery, it is totally a closed circle mystery. 4 sleuths, 4 guests who have been accused of getting away with murder, and 1 host. And the murder takes place during a game of bridge. So this is definitely a closed circle mystery. Death in the Nile, she wrote in 1938, and the murder takes place on a steamer on a river cruise. So this is a Poirot as well. Actually, Cards on the Table was a Poirot as well. All of these but one are Poirot mysteries. And this Death on the Nile cover, I love it because it's the movie cover from the 1978 movie that had so many great actors. I don't know if you'll be able to see the picture here. It's quite small, but it has Betty Davis and Angela Lansbury and just so many other fantastic actors. So if you can actually find Death on the Nile from the 1978 version, it's so good. Anyway, so yeah, this is definitely a closed circle mystery as well. And then in 1941, she wrote Evil Under the Sun. It takes place at a hotel on an island. The island is called Leathercombe Bay. It's not an isolated one though, because the island is connected to the mainland by a causeway. I think it's just off the coast of Devon or Cornwall. But it's a closed circle mystery. And then the ultimate classic closed circle mystery, and this one is definitely an isolated closed circle mystery, is And Then There Were None from 1939. This edition that I have is also a movie cover edition from a movie that came out in, I'm not entirely sure when, and this book is titled with one of the other titles of this book, but I'm just going to call it And Then There Were None. This is the classic. This is the one that all others aspire to. The ultimate isolated closed circle mystery. 10 people on an island. They are completely cut off. There is no way off the island, and there is no way to communicate with anybody off the island. And people start dying one by one. And this is so fantastic. This is a excellent Agatha Christie. So those were just a few examples of some closed circle mysteries. Have you read any of these? Are any of these your favorite? Do you know of other closed circle mysteries? Let me know down in the comment section down below. I'd love to discover more closed circle mysteries because it really is one of my favorite tropes. So here is the next My March Mystery Madness Mindbender. It was just her luck to be paired with the 8th Earl of Atherton. What did Barbara Havers call him when they were on the job? Put your answers down in the comment section below, and I will see you again tomorrow for another March Mystery Madness video. Bye!